In this video, I'm going to talk about some really cool things Harry Kane did in this last Bayern match. So we're building out with the 5 here. 5 holds the ball, lets his team get into their build-out shape. You can see, who's this guy, the 9? What's this guy doing dropping down into the 3? Why are you the 3? You're the 9. You're supposed to give us a width. This is grassroots soccer. You're supposed to do the things and be positional. This isn't grassroots soccer, but also I'm acting like a grassroots coach, right? He comes down and acts like a 3, gets his head up. Ooh, that touch is a quarterback touch. Pop to the diag, and look on the money. How many kids on your team are like, as soon as the ball comes to them, they think that they're the diagonal king or queen? They're just always sending the ball all over the place, and the parents love it. And they're like, you see my kid, you launched the attack. No, I saw a kickball. I didn't see that right there. That's purposeful, a purposeful diagonal ball. Somebody that's got in a position, receiving the ball to be purposefully send someone into a 1v1 on the flank. Harry Kane, he's their 9. He just dropped in as the 3. What are we talking about here? We're talking about if you have a player on your team with strengths, but they're playing as your 9, and they could come in and do that type of diagonal ball, they can send it over the middle, or they've got the type of strength. Be willing to use those strengths and allow kids to show and shine those things, even in grassroots. All right, that's pretty good. Here we are, dropping the ball back from the 2 to the 1, over to the 5, or maybe he's the 4. I mean, they've been using these numbers on their shirts. And here's what I would say is the 3, their wing back. What is he doing? He knows that they're in man-to-man. Look, they're in man-to-man pressure on this build-out. That's man-to-man, man-to-man, man-to-man. They already know. Vincent Kompany already knows this guy's going to pressure this build-out player. And what did they come up with? BVB said, and you over here, you're responsible for the wing back no matter how high they are up with the ball. So guess what? That leaves the space right here. So usually we'd have our screener or our 6 check into the space. But if we have our 6 check into the space, very likely their 10 or their 8's going to follow, right? Instead, who's coming? The number 9, Harry Kane, not sitting high and giving us that width or that height. He's coming in right here into that pocket because we know that in BVB's tactical intention, they're going to man press here. The ball goes out to the 3. They're going to man press here because they have an extra defender with the sideline, and they're going to turn it into a BVB is hoping to turn this into a 3v2, right? Sideline is 1, and then 1v1 here. And then the goal is probably this guy to stay here, let him go back to the keeper to send the ball long, or their 6 checks way over here, but our 10 is going to follow. No, here comes Harry Kane, drops into that space. Now they catch it this time and almost get a turnover and a shot on goal. But yeah, it's Harry Kane. What does he do? Well, he threads him with a through ball and launches on attack. How ridiculous is that? All right, so here we are building out with the keeper over to the 4. Here again, starting inverted into this half space is the 3. Ball's over here, 3 sitting inverted. Checking out to give us that width. Again, man-to-man on the build-out. This is so aggressive. Man-to-man on the build-out. So this dude's going to get man-to-man pressure, which means the space is going to be right behind him. You can see the 6 checking in. Here's the second line of pressure. It's this dude's responsibility because they're doing man-to-man here. He gets all the way across as fast as he can, but he's got enough time to hit Harry Kane. What are you doing, Harry Kane? Look, here's that first line of pressure. 1, 2, 3. Here's that second line of pressure. This dude is the second line of pressure, but he's responsible for that wing back. Boom, Harry Kane is in the pocket, and this guy's like, wait a minute. Whom do I stick with this guy? Do I release and stick with this guy? But he's already checked his shoulder like 3 times. And they've seen this. This is like the 3rd time Harry Kane. He's the 9. He's come back into this pocket right here. Here's the pocket. Here's the second line. Here's the first line. Here's the second line, wherever this other mid is. And Harry Kane's like, oh, I've already diagged you twice. So what do? They're man-to-man here on the far side, expecting it. And look at this. We're running straight ahead. We've got them running backwards. This is fantastic if you're a striker. Oh, he sends it into this flank. Okay, you saw me come back in the 6 as the 9, and you've got one of our mids giving us that central height. You know, this player's profile very likely is a little bit of a 9, an attacking mid. This guy's giving us width because Harry Kane can hit it. So this guy has to stay wide. This guy kind of has to help centrally. He's stuck here in the middle. So now we're in a 2v2, and we're behind them. In this flank, wow. Here comes a goal-scoring opportunity. Of course, he gets run off, misses the touch, and it goes out of bounds. It was pretty good. This is all from Harry Kane. You think of grassroots soccer. In grassroots soccer, we have kids with really good attributes, but we need them to play positionally in the 9 to give us that height. We need them to be wingers and run high and come back and be defensive. We need our backs to play safe and to be solid with the ball and protect against through balls and make sure that they are sound technically and don't swipe and don't get too high and pulled out of position, right? We need them a lot of times in grassroots to be more positional. But occasionally we've got a kid who we could play more of a free roaming spot or say, hey, here's where the vulnerability is going to be. If we try to bring other players into it, they're going to come with them. Why don't we just bring you out and send our 10 high? This is just so smart. Like, grassroots coaches could easily adopt this if they have the players and the personnel. It's all about setting a system that works for the players that you have in grassroots soccer. Harry Kane, what are you doing back here at the 6? We've got the build-out line, the build-out players here. We dig one out here. How are you the 6? Here's the top line of pressure, or they're in the attack. They're not even reorganized. Bro sat in the middle for the most of the game, right? He wasn't coming all the way back from the 9. He was in the 9, but he was really a big part of this build-out the whole time. They used this 9 to send them on 40, 50-yard passes because, this guy's got it. Look at this diagonal ball across the whole field. Beats the man. Are you kidding me? Why wouldn't you consider something like this in grassroots if you have a player that can do this type of thing? Look at this. He's in a 1v1. This is going to be tricky because this guy should eventually make this a 1v2 and keep. But he brings it out the wing, loses it. All right. So we've got a central back here, a little more central. Sends it out here. So this is probably the 4. Sends it out to the wide 5. And again, it's man-to-man. There's man-to-man on this pressure from BVB. Again, they're doing what they know. Get there and press this. Don't give this guy time. You've got to check wide. He checks wide. We know this mid is going to come over and help every time. They've already got this tactical plan figured out. When he checks over, where's the space going to be? Right here. Do we send our mid? If we send our mid, he's got time to come with him because he's already man-marked here. Who can we send? We can send Harry Kane, the 9. Drop him into this space. Look at checking shoulder here. Seeing who's ahead again. Seeing who's behind. And quarterback bomb diagonal. Now that's the type of long pass I want to see in grassroots. I don't want to see a kid first touch bombing it. That's kickball. That's not intention. This is how we teach our kids to play with intention. You want to send the long ball, then there's places and times and ways we do that. And we set them up. We suck them to one side and keep one player wide. And now that's an intentional long ball if you got a kid that wants to kick it long. But these are the type of things we have to get our kids to wrap their minds around, especially at 10, 11, 12. It gets easier at 13. Look at the width. This guy already knows to stay wider, so he's there in time, right? Because a diagonal ball takes a long time to get there, 40, 50 yards diagonally. Pretty awesome, like, to see. Even in the pro game, you know, they're always taking their player profiles and they're shifting their tactics with something new that they can pull out of a player from their profile. Can they do a long diagonal? Well, we never get to see that from Harry Kane because he plays the 9. Well, they drop him in as the 6 because they know BVB is going to play man-to-man in the build-out to pressure the build-out, and there's probably man-to-man in the middle. So if we send the 10 to help over with that short pass from the 3 or the 2, then they're just going to be man-marked, and we'll only be able to keep playing backwards. You drop in 9, you push the 10 high, and now we can play forward. Pretty awesome deal. Hope that helps.